Welcome to this week's episode of the Pull List Examiner. This is my weekly video where I take a look at my top 3 choices of the comic books that I'm looking forward to reading on New Comic Book Day. New Comic Book Day this week is going to be January 25th, 2023. Let's take a look at the top 3 choices, but you can always find my full pull list in the description of this video below. First off this week at number 3, we've got Darkwing Duck, which apparently this time is put out by Dynamite Comics. And I don't know if it's just the nostalgia or if it's the fact that they have like 35 different covers, but I'm excited to read Darkwing Duck. I grew up watching Darkwing Duck every I think weekday afternoon it would show up, and probably a whole bunch of reruns after that. But really, it was a fun cartoon that I grew up watching, and I am curious to see what they come up with in the comics. I have not read Darkwing Duck comics before, but I know there are some other series that have been released. Maybe I'll have to go back and see if I can find a few of those old back issues somewhere. But I'm looking forward to seeing what we get with this release that comes out this week. And if you're like me, you may want to draw on some of that nostalgia as well. And at number 2 this week, we've got Forever Forward by Zach Kaplan, and it's from Scout Comics. And if you have watched my show before, you know I'm a big Zach Kaplan fan, and he had 4 series, I believe, come out last year, and you'll have to check out my Best of 2022 to see some of my recommendations that he put out last year. But this series is wrapping up this week, and it continues from last year, and we get issue number 6 this week. And in this series, Forever Forward, the plot is yet another Zach Kaplan sci-fi story, and in this one, a inventor scientist creates a time traveling device that doesn't work, and then one day it does work, but they can only figure out how to go forward. But at some point he sees a message that tells him that he needs to keep going forward to go back. So eventually he does figure out how to make it back, and that's the underlying plot of the story. As they just jump through time, it's kind of interesting to see how things change, and there's like a set increment number of years that they have to abide by with this device that he created. So it's a cool take on time travel, and I thought it was a good read, fun, and it's number 2 on my list this week. And coming in at number 1 this week is going to be Junkyard Joe, issue number 4. I wasn't sure what we were going to get with this Junkyard Joe series. It's an offshoot of this Geigerverse that Jeff Johns has created over at Image Comics, and to be honest, I'm kind of impressed with the writing Jeff Johns is doing again. I think he did his foray into TV and movies, and it sounds like he may be getting back to his roots. I don't know, but I'm just kind of guessing here because we now have 2 series, JSA and the Stargirl series over at DC, that he's writing, and both of those titles are pretty good. But he also has this entire Geiger universe that he's created with Gary Frank on art on a lot of it so far over at Image Comics. And Junkyard Joe has been a really good read. It's a really interesting take on that kind of sci-fi genre where you get robots or androids that show up, and it has flashbacks that go all the way back to the Vietnam War, and then the comic itself seems to be set in present time with this Junkyard Joe android showing up. And there's some other nuances I won't get into, but it's just been a really good read from Jeff Johns. We'll see. I know he released a one-shot that had a bunch of different concepts with different characters for this Geiger universe that he's created. So it's going to be interesting to see as it progresses and how he ties things together. If you haven't picked up the back issues, I highly recommend going and grabbing them if they're still out there, and you can catch up on this series of Junkyard Joe. So once again, we come to the end of an episode. Thank you for watching. If you haven't, click like, click subscribe, and keep watching. And remember to read them, bag them, and board them. And as always, you can check out my full pull list in the video below, and we'll see you next time on the Pull List Examiner. Thank you for watching.